Da 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 ba da 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 da.
This section has been redacted for copyright reasons.
Exactly. Jesus. It's just too on point.
Hello, welcome to Geeks and Gaijins. I'm the Gaijin Jon.
I'm the Geek Tom.
Welcome to the world of Japan. You're not here, are you? That's against the law.
Yes. Welcome from the distance. Don't tap on the glass.
No, please don't. It scares me. I'm easily startled. I'm here on location to bring you all the news, reviews, and other things that don't rhyme. From Japan to you. So, Thomas, what are we talking about this week?
So today we have a continuation of last week's topic slightly with the announcement of a new free anime streaming platform known as AnimeLog, which will be available on YouTube. And we're going to have a dive into what exactly that is and what it will become in a little bit. Also have a conversation about the ultimate reverse Uno card of someone stealing from a ninja museum this week. And after John's regular scheduled snack break, we will be rounding out the show with discussions about underrated anime OPs and whether or not it's acceptable to watch franchises and series out of order.
Thomas wants an excuse to watch JoJo, and he doesn't want to start with the first seasons, which are rubbish.
See, you say that, but I would absolutely be the person who watches stuff in chronological order out of spite.
I tried watching the first episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, as in first episode of Series 1, gave up after about 5 minutes. And I share the same name as the main character. That's usually, yeah, I'm all in there.
Wait, John, you're a Joestar?
Well, the first series is, like, based in England.
But somehow you're not the blonde vampire.
I've been had! Woo!
Bring it back to more normal conversations that people who don't obsessively consume anime might understand, John. Let's talk about obsessively consuming anime.
This is AnimeLog, or not, as the case may be, if you don't live in Japan like I do, because haha, this is for me and me only. All I need to do is somehow become fluent in Japanese. Yes, it is for currently, as of time of recording, this channel has 222,000 subscribers and is not the weird other channels that are faking being it that have videos in like the UK and the US that we found whilst trying to search for this channel.
What is this channel supposed to be? Let's start off with that so people can understand why people would be faking it.
Well, if you remember from last time, there's an update from the olden days. Anime websites that pirated things got shut down. So people now need to find other ways.
As circumstance would have it, that someone has come up with a way to fill in a gap in the market, which is that 30 or odd anime studios have come together and decided they're going to put up some of their old shows onto YouTube together and create a large archive of classic anime known as AnimeLog, which you'll be able to access for free once it's available in your country. Currently, as John said, it's only available in Japan, but there are plans to subtitle the videos in both English and Chinese so that a larger audience can watch these anime as well.
And by old, we mean old, guys. I think the most recent thing on here currently looking at it is from 2003. But the main things that we have on here are Conan Boy of the Future from the 1980s, Astro Boy, or Tetsuwan Atom, as he's known in Japanese. The OG. Like, seriously, this is not... You're not going to be watching your Kimetsu no Yaibas on here. Let's just say that. Oh, and also, of course, Anne of Green Gables. Who could forget that classic anime staple?
So, yes, this is going to be a work in progress as there are still a whole bunch of shows to go up. It's still fairly new and with a fairly small roster, but they're planning on expanding the collection to over 3,000 videos by 2022, I believe.
My thing said 3,000 titles.
Well, that's even more impressive.
The thing is, impressive. Anime and Japan as a whole, rights holders, when it gets outside of that, because they really don't care, it is the Wild West of who owns what Magugu, we have no idea. This is a big thing in the UK, which for an awful long time, on all the video on demand stuff, including like Crunchyroll, etc., One Piece was not available because the people who owned the DVD rights to sell and distribute One Piece essentially didn't want that to happen, but had stopped selling DVDs or stopped doing anything with it. And the people who had the TV rights had expired, and everyone was just like, it's the UK, we don't really care. The longest times, almost no one in the UK could watch One Piece in any way legally.
Yeah, copyright's a bit of a hellscape when it comes to that. There was a similar thing with Evangelion, wasn't it, where the rights holders of Eva would just sit on the rights and not release anything for ages. Now they've released it onto Netflix, which is good for Eva fans. But yeah, when it comes to copyright outside of Japan, God, anime is a mess sometimes. But this is nice because it might mean that people who haven't had that potential to watch the classics finally get a chance to watch them for free, which is also good for archivists who were very concerned about things like Kiss Anime shutting down. I mean, it's a bit different from the days of Nosferatu, where the only reason that the original film survived is because people pirated it. But there's still that argument going around.
I'm skeptical. If this all happens and goes extremely well, woo, yay, woo. I just keep on thinking of more conflicts because, okay, we need now subtitles for all of the videos. Whose copyrighted subtitles do you then use? But some of them might be specific to different English studios or something that they then... So whose studio subtitles are you then using? Do you then need to make an entire new set of subtitles, as is what happened with Evangelion? It becomes a mess, and I'm not going to solve it because they don't pay me.
Fair enough.
If this all works, I love it. It'll be amazing and super-de-duper and so cool. I'm just...
It's obviously going to be a while before you can declare it a success or failure, but at the moment it just seems like a neat way for them to monetize their old archives without making any extra effort necessarily.
Especially because a lot of the stuff they have right on now is essentially old children's stuff. So for Japanese children, it's great.
Also, not all of this stuff is going to be for children. Apparently, there's not going to be any censorship of the things that are slightly more inappropriate going up on there, which is, as John pointed out when we discussed this earlier, an interesting choice for using YouTube as a platform if they're planning on monetizing this.
Yes, exactly. Well, they are monetizing it at the moment. They have adverts on them. But that also seems kind of dumb when you could set up you have like YouTube Kids, which especially for a lot of them would work. The issue is also then, of course, things that are specifically Japanese, which are then seen as a choto yabai in the United States and the UK and Europe and other places. This stuff happens in a lot of the old stuff that is freaking weird. Japan looks back and it goes, yeah, that's freaking weird, isn't it?
I think most of Japan looks at any decade of anime production and goes, this is weird. Why did you make this? It's not improved.
No, it was the point where I was watching My Neighbor Totoro for the first time and all just the family are sitting there having a bath together. And just like, okay.
That's not even slightly on most people's radar. That's like, oh, that's at least that's not too weird. So I think the main takeaway we need to also add to this is that some people who are looking to make a bit of attention and money for themselves have been framing this as, oh, is this the Crunchyroll killer? Is this a rival for Funimation?
Sorry.
No, say what you want about those companies' business practices with their anime, but these are two completely different markets they're tapping into. And the AnimeLog wasn't even spawned from like any differences in opinion between the studios and the Funimations and the Crunchyroll sites. This was, I think this particular venture was started by a venture capitalist by the name of Benjamin Grubbs. Not the most Japanese of names. So this isn't like sticking it to the man. The animation studios want their uncensored anime on Western sites. It's just an idea they came up with to make a little extra dosh on the side in it.
Yeah, but this it gets more confusing and boring, and people don't want to listen to two British men talk about copyright rights. These places that are paying us a lot of money to host these, like, specifically only on their platform, I'm not going to do that and get money from the YouTube ad revenue.
Ugh.
Also, Thomas's thumbnails are much better than these. These are trash. Hire a better thumbnail.
I think you might be overestimating my thumbnail ability, but thank you for that compliment.
Not compared to these ones, they are trash. Thomas can't see them because he's not in Japan, but seriously, like
That is true.
It's,
I mean,
it's,
they are thumbnails for Japanese audiences. As we know, Japan's internet is stuck in like 10, 20 years ago.
and they have a passion for graphic design.
They do. God, my God, they have so much passion. I have to give it to them.
Now, ninjas. Boom. Came out of nowhere. You know what it came out of nowhere like? A ninja.
A ninja.
People remember ages ago, we talked about ninjas and also the man with the ninja degree. Well, he was nowhere to be seen when Iga Town in Mie Prefecture, it had a robbery. Its big Iga Ryu Ninja Museum got broken into last Monday night.
This is half the presses, folks.
Well, no, it's not, because we record on the Sunday and this happened on the early morning of the 17th.
Almost half the presses. Slightly lukewarm off the presses.
The Ninja Museum got broken into at 1:30 in the morning. And this is just after Obon weekend. So basically, the thieves are expecting the safe to be full.
Dosh Wonga. Loads of money.
Big bank holiday weekend. Haven't had a chance to take it to the bank yet. So they're like, ho ho, ho ho. And so apparently this only took about 3 minutes for them to vop in with a crowbar and just escape with the safe. It's apparently 150 kilograms, because
God damn. That's some strong ninjas.
I assumed there was maybe like 2 or 3 people.
Still very difficult to sneak around with a safe.
Yeah, well, they popped it on the back of a car, Thomas. From what I'm reading here, the administrative building that the safe was in is a separate building to the rest of the museum. So they just popped up there, broke in, grabbed the safe, popped it in the back of their car, and went off.
For shame, Ninja Museum. For shame.
Well, I don't think it's their fault getting their stuff stolen. They basically got their whole weekend's takings taken, and people are like sad, oh no, what will they do? Insurance. This is what insurance is for. That's how insurance works. Hello. Have you met an insurance company? You don't just pay them to just look pretty. The thing is, it's the question you all want to know. Did they get away with the golden-plated shuriken stars of Ninja McGee? Did they take the sword that can make 1,000 cuts and make it feel like one really annoying paper cut? No. None of these things. Because they got away with at least 1 million yen. They got away with 1 million yen. About $9,500. That's a lot of money, but also that's not a lot of money. Like,
I mean, it's a museum. How much money were they expecting to get?
yes, that's also the first point of like, haha, what are we doing tonight, brain? The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to steal from the Ninja Museum.
Oh, I like that image. They're planning this for months. It's taken out the place looking for ninjas to make sure they wouldn't get caught. And now the plan has finally come to fruition. And it's, a couple of days rent.
And I assume it's not just one dude, because it's an 150 kilogram safe. That is like, that's not a lot of return. It's really not.
Covers the gas money for the vehicle.
At least. And maybe the toll roads as well.
Mm.
So yes, if you do for some reason know anything about this and you're first hearing this on this podcast, like first, wow. And 2, please contact the eager police. When I first told Thomas about this, he's like, oh, maybe it's the ninjas. Maybe they need to fund their secret ninja campaigns. Or it's a disgruntled employee who knew where all the money was left at that time and have known exactly how to get to it quickly.
You just know how to take all the romance out of this, don't you, John? Come on, where's the mystery in that? Dear.
If you want mysteries, you can go to the museum yourself, and they do like ninja skills demonstrations and workshops and generally all that stuff.
When are we going to get a John Reviews Ninja Museums? We need to keep our museum review segment going.
This is a lot of prefectures away, Thomas. I am not doing this.
Not
with Corona. I'm not being the people who travelled home from Tokyo for Obon. I'm not doing that.
Fair enough. Those were not the most responsible of people, sadly.
I'm just popping myself into Google Maps. How long would it take me to get to this museum?
No, I think you made your point. Okay, I get it, John. Can't go to the Ninja Museum now. But
That's closer than I thought. It's a whole 4.5 hour drive.
is
Just
there perhaps a train?
A hop, skip, and a jump of 346 kilometers.
Ah, wonderful.
If I took the train, it would take almost 6 hours.
You're gonna have to make a day out of it then.
Yeah. I think getting to Osaka's easy, but then you have to get lots of weird buses there. Because Iga is like not a super big place.
So you're saying that the Ninja Museum is a off the beaten path, secluded area where it's hard to get to.
That's the point, because they're where they were traditionally lived, Thomas. That's the point of the museum.
I'm just saying, you can't prove there aren't any ninjas there.
I feel like you've not been paying attention.
That does sound like me.
Also, I say it's not very populated. It's a city with 95,000 people living there, so yeah.
Perfect place for ninjas to train.
Christ, on a bicycle. Okay,
No one would suspect a thing in the Ninja Museum.
Okay, now it's time for snack break, because Thomas is not being rational.
I think you're just not being fun.
I totally didn't forget to get the snack break this week again. But no, I did. But I thought we would actually do something relevant to like things people eat every day, like actual snacks, and not just, ooh, this thing has a weird picture on it. Oh, this might be on the Guided Jon Instagram account, because to be honest, this is not actually very impressive, like visually, and my creativity genes have like been in the wash the last few days. So, this is green dakara.
Oh, that is the ultimate snack size snack.
It's a candy. It's
Cheeky
candy,
little thing.
but not just any candy. This is mini life something candy. I can't read the rest of it because it's in kanji. This is candy to make your life better. Woo.
What is it about these Japanese candies wanting to improve my life? I'm not eating candy because I want my life to be better. I've made my decision, Japan.
Thomas can see the packet, but you guys at home can't. The packet is a green heart that I assume is supposed to look juicy or something because it has like blobs on it, but it just looks like it's kind of glistening with sweat, which makes it slightly unappealing.
I mean, the candy's trying to make its life better, but through exercise, clearly, John.
Well, that's the point of these green dakara candies. They are basically supposed to give you back all the minerals and stuff that you lose when you sweat.
So it is a sweat candy. Marvellous.
It literally is. This is stuff
We're
that's
really selling this. This sounds very appealing right now.
Well, this is the thing that's very popular in Japan, because specifically the funny energy drink names that you may have heard of, like Pocari Sweat and things like this. Energy drinks are extremely popular in Japan. So much so that when it's hot, you kind of get looked at weirdly for like only drinking water. You should be drinking cold green tea or cold barley tea or something to get your minerals back in it.
It's got electrolytes.
Exactly, whatever those are.
It's what plants crave.
This has 5, count 'em, 5 fruits in it, apparently. So it has grapefruit, lemon, I don't know what that is, and the Japanese doesn't help. Shikuwasa. What the hell is that? It's a lime. It's a lime. It's a green citrus fruit. Okay, it's not actually a lime. In English, it's sometimes called a Taiwan tangerine, a flat lemon, a Hirami lemon, or a thin-skinned flat. It's a green lemon.
It's a lime. A lime.
A mikan, or as it's known here, an orange, and tomato. Because, yeah, I needed tomatoes in my candy.
I mean, technically it's a fruit, but...
And also just on here is also just a big black spot which says Na, which I assume is meaning the chemical signifier for sodium. However, I like to think that just the makers of this was a really big fan of Batman. That's like, na 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 na, Batman. And they look very boring, which is why they're kind of see-through. Kind of weird, like a slightly off yellow.
Yeah.
Each candy is only 12 calories, though, I will have you know. Itadakimasu. I just use these when I go to the gym. They're not very exciting. They have a very, slightly citrusy flavor, as would be expected, but they're not sweet.
Oh, disappointing.
They're sweet if you, really try to, concentrate on it. You can taste, the grapefruit and tomato in it, of just kind of But these things are super popular in Japan. And also, when it's summer, you will sweat like Billy-O. So I do actually recommend these. These are green Dakara candies. Because they're good. I do like them.
Translucent sweat candies, but they seem to serve their purpose. They seem to be functional.
What you do, gotta get your sweat candies, because you got to get your electrolytes up there. Water is not enough, except it should be, but it's not.
So what plants crave?
So yes, I'm sure these candies are very good for me, but in terms of snacking, they are a NA out of 10. Dun 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 dun. Segway. I'm dancing.
I wasn't really sure whether that was a command or just a general exclamation, but I thought I'd let you just vibe.
This part's going in the podcast, Thomas.
Okay, so one of the questions we pulled from Twitter this week is, what are your favorite / underrated anime OPs? I think we're going to go with underrated because we've already discussed at length which songs we really like, and mostly just because John wants me to cut down on talking about Mayday again, because I will talk about that for 5 minutes straight.
Did you know that good things are good? Welcome to the podcast.
So instead, we're going to focus on things that you might not have heard of before. I don't exactly know what categorizes an underrated anime opening or ending, because we'll also be doing those, maybe. But I decided just to go with some of the smaller shows that aren't quite so popular that might fit into the criteria better. So, John, would you like to start the proceedings today?
Basically, a lot of these will come from the fact that, one, this is very subjective, to two, what kind of music you like. And also, it depends when you say an anime OP, is in terms of the whole opening, with the animation and the storytelling within that, or just the song. I'm going to go for a mixture of both here. This goes back a while to 2018. This was an anime that not many people watched, but for some reason should probably get a bit more popular now, because it is basically Ghost of Tsushima before Ghost of Tsushima. This is Anglemois, Record of the Mongol Invasion. This is literally manga and anime based on the Mongol invasion of Tsushima, but not based around Jin Sakai because he didn't exist. OP itself is called Braver by Straightener, which is an amazing just combo of words Japanese OPs just love to do. It's a very kind of melancholy song, but also has some really good emotional hits in it. Because Anglemois itself is a kind of semi-historical anime, but also includes lots of semi-mythical parts of it. It feels like watching a classic Japanese written version of this, including a couple of spirits and big deeds of strength and stuff. It's faux history, and it's just kind of fun. But you can get bored. It's not really one to binge watch. But I do recommend. It's only 12 episodes. But yeah, and the OP is a banger, and you will never skip it upon pain of me being annoyed at you.
Wouldn't want that, would we?
No, Thomas, do you have something to up my Anglemois and Braver by Straightener?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't know exactly how it fares up with your Mongol invasion show, because I haven't seen that one, but I do want to point out once again just how goddamn funky the opening to Copcraft was. My God, that was some smooth funk that opening had. It was a really fun OP as well, lots of high energy, really tapped into the sort of a really fun little jazz opening, which I really appreciate. I like the EPs for that show too, but I think the OP really should be given a try. Anyone who liked Tank for the Cowboy Bebop opening, because it hits that sort of area of music. I think it was really good. I mean, it gives you a rundown of all the characters, but only in posing. So,
and now I'm gonna be that guy and go, you know what's actually really good? Psychopath season 1, and none of you remember it because goddamn, that's a good show.
I don't know. It sounds to me like Psychopath season 1 is the sort of show that would leave an impression on a person. having not seen it.
It's amazing and will destroy your life. I love it so much. And then you'll get really sad because season 2 is also really bad. But series 1 has 2 OPs in it because it's 22 episodes long. And Psychopaths itself is basically Anime Minority Report crossed with... It gets dark. It gets dark and it gets gory. And it's all to do with personhood and thought crimes and system control and also weird serial killers. Just the 2 OPs that it has in its first season are amazing in conveying like the sense of being in like we live in a society. But it's the idea of these detectives basically in this huge cyberpunk world tracking down people who can basically abuse and get around the system. But the first opening is Abnormalize, and it's just a great kind of like very serious, and the animation for it is beautiful. But then the second one, which is a banger, and it is a rare banger, it is called Out of Control and is sung entirely in English. And that's how you know it's good, because you can understand the words and they're not crazy.
God damn, that's impressive. Always love it when an OP does that, just because it's always... They do a really good job of doing English songs, which is always incredible.
Yeah, so the first one is Abnormalize by Ling Tostite Sigya and Out of Control by Nothing's Carved in Stone. Those are some great-ass band names. Japan's doing it right when it comes to the band names.
Have any of them topped Mrs. Green Apple for you yet?
Not particularly, but these guys are up there. I do love it. It's so good. Oh, and also, here's an update, Thomas, that everyone's very underrated OP, Gorenge by Lisa, is still, like, up there in the charts. It's still here. It's never going away. It is now the Japanese national anthem. I didn't know. You should have been told.
You just walk into a convenience and you just hear Lisa belting out over the speakers. You're like, yeah, this is my jam. I'm impressed that it's been around for this many months, but honestly, what would you expect? Would you expect any less from the anime of the decade, John?
It's been around for over a year.
You're going to have to talk to the people of Funimation. I don't make the rules here, John. I just report the facts. And the fact is that Demon Slayer Gorenge, best of the decade. In fact, I have a list, but I'm not going to get through all of it because I'd be here forever.
I'm going to put you on a time limit. 3, 2, 1, starting now.
Oh, dear. He's rushing me, folks. He always rushes me. It's never fair.
Do you know what you can't do on a podcast output like this? Play loads of copyrighted material.
Which is a shame. So if you're interested in any of these, you're going to have to look them up yourself. But they are all mostly available on YouTube because, surprisingly, these companies like to put this stuff up as free advertising on their websites.
But not on Spotify because that's Japanese stuff is hard to find. So go, first one.
You do have to find covers on Spotify. And I do want to give a quick shout out to all the people who do covers of anime OPs on Spotify because some of y'all are really good. Reviewed this show on the podcast a while back, and whilst I did not give it a glowing endorsement, it was rather fun. And I have to say that the music was, for both the opening and the ending, were some of the best parts. So the Cannon Busters opening, showdown, and the ending, regardless, are both very, very fun songs. The opening is a lot of high energy, cool animated fight scenes that really get you into the sort of Saturday morning cartoon vibe of the show. And regardless, it's just such a chill song to chill out, to finish the show up with and really just settle in with the characters. Best part of the show.
Cool, you can find it on Netflix. Next!
Also, a show that I have not discussed before, but also really enjoyed was Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, which was a supernatural show about some cheeky Japanese spirits messing around at a high school. That's a thing that happens regularly, apparently.
Can confirm.
The opening of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun is a banger. It's my kind of really angry rock, which is fantastic and really sells the really bright, colourful art style of the show. And the ending not only is a really emotional little piano piece, but also uses its visuals quite nicely to display the duality of the worlds between the human and the spiritual and how it affects the characters. So I really like that.
Next!
I'm going to round out the show by just shouting out the Recreators openings because they are wonderful. And I appreciate that they seem a little bit like rip-offs of Brave Shine from Fate Stay Night on Limited Blade Works, but I still think they're really good at selling the theme of the show and also the Battle Royale format. So check those out.
We're not rounding out the show, Thomas, because we still have more to talk about. Bum, bum,
I'm
bum,
rounding out
bum.
the segment. Fine. God, you're really on my ass today, John. God damn. Just to finish up, we're going to have a civilized conversation about whether it's okay to watch series out of order.
No, end of podcast. Goodbye, everyone.
How dare you? How dare you? That's rude. And also the
Rude.
wrong answer. So I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay, what is the correct answer? Please enlighten us all.
Well, I'm not going to dictate how you're allowed to watch a show. That's going to be the main point. But basically, the conversation starts about whether it's okay to watch shows like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure out of order, because it's a show that's separated into, I think, 5 distinct anime parts, so where you're supposed to be able to drop into any one part as you want, and it'll be a completely new story with some vague connection to the story previous. And apparently there's a section of the fan base that really, really hates you watching it out of chronological order, and so you have to watch it in release order, despite, as John has pointed out earlier in the podcast, the first part being kind of boring, and also each of them being thematically different and going for a different sort of style of storytelling, which means that a later part might have something you're more interested in than one of the earlier parts.
Also with almost totally different characters. For those who aren't familiar with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it essentially follows the Joestar family, and essentially every series is a different generation of the families doing stuff. So you're not going to go, oh, but then you didn't get this character's main primary arc or whatever. They're all new characters. So it's not a problem. Stop being angry at how people enjoy stuff.
I mean, yeah, the argument for more Western consumers of media is like something like the Star Wars franchise, in which if you watch it in chronological order of release, you're going to be watching Luke Skywalker's story, then you're going to be watching Anakin Skywalker's story before Luke's, and then you're going to be watching the sequel trilogy last, which can be the right way to consume it for some people. Some people would rather watch it in chronological order. There's also something known as the machete cut, which decided that you'd want to watch the correct order of watching Star Wars, apparently, is watching New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then, after the reveal at the end of that, jumping back to Attack of the Clones, ignoring Phantom Menace entirely because it's a waste of time, then watching Revenge of the Sith, and then finishing it off with Return of the Jedi. And that's a pretty well-known way of consuming the series as well. So, it's interesting.
Or you can just watch the good films.
I mean, you'd have like 2 films then, so I don't really know what you're going to do with that.
I think this is an issue here because it really depends on the kind of media, and I don't think that people are actually paying attention to this. They just go, no, you need to get all the references when you understand this, and you really don't. One of the main examples of this is there are specifically kinds of books for donkey's years that have been made to be consumed like this, specifically like Sherlock Holmes or loads of old mystery dramas. They were made as literal newspaper, like Sherlock Holmes ones were made to like appear in newspapers and things. These are short stories. There is like an overarching plot and the characters developing and like different people turning up. But generally, if you tune in at Hound of the Baskervilles, you're not really going to care compared to if you started with The Study in Scarlet. There's not much you're really missing. And also, there's a lot of them where you're just focusing on totally different characters. And sometimes you don't even need to know what happened before, even with those characters. Thomas sent a message to me about like the Discworld series, which bar the first 2 books, which are, the second one is a direct sequel to the first, because the first one literally ends with the main character hanging off the edge of the world. All the rest of them can basically be consumed in any order you want, because they almost all face different characters. Now, I can recommend you like go by story arc to story arc, but reading like one of the ones you're more interested in before reading the other ones is 1,000 times valid. It's not hard. Like it's also like you don't have to absorb or read everything of something to enjoy it. I think this is the kind of thinking that we get, especially when you're young, or especially when you're in university, when you can spend so much time like, yes, I will watch all 60,000 episodes of Naruto, and everyone else should do that too. Turns out we have some kind of life, I hope. Who knows? But I might find one day. But also, people don't have to do that to enjoy things. Rant over, kind of, but not really.
That's an interesting point. Whilst obviously this problem has been around for much longer than this thing I'm about to bring up has been around, I wonder how much the cinematic universe model for movies has exacerbated this issue further, where the promise of having small Easter eggs in each movie making reference to the previously existing movies has sort of forced people to a mindset of consuming every single portion of a franchise just so they don't feel like they're missing out on fairly minor parts, just so they have that continuity in their heads.
This is the thing, they're references. So if you make a sequel that is totally reliant on you having watched the first thing, that's fine, it's a sequel. But if you make a reboot based on basically having watched the first thing, you made a really bad reboot, son. I'm going to say it. I think specifically for things like anime and stuff, and video games as well. By the way, you don't have to play Final Fantasy 1 before you play the next 14. It's not how this works. You don't need to play the first Call of Duty before you play the next 20.
How else will I understand the history and context of World War II, John?
I don't know. I truly don't, because our school system is messed up. But but also, there are things that are your fault. If you say, I don't like The Prisoner of Azkaban, because none of these characters were explained before. Who are these people? What's going on? Who is this Dumbledore fellow? That's your own fault. And, that's fine. But don't come crying and go, that book's bad. No, it's not. You just didn't read the thing before it. As long as the other person isn't criticizing and go, you know what? This book that I read that was 3 out of a 9-book series, turns out not particularly for me. You can also just read story arcs as well, or watch story arcs specifically in anime. Especially with the longer running stuff, just watch good story arcs because they tend to have self-contained characters in them, especially villains and motivations. Things like Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, etc. You don't have to watch all the rubbish stuff. Same for Yu-Gi-Oh!, same for Pokemon. But those are things that are also made to be more episode of the week kind of thing. That's like Star Trek The Next Generations. You don't have to watch that all in series. Arguably, if you're going to be a real nerd about it, they're actually not. If you order them by star date, that's not the actual chronological order that the series is released in. So, Thomas, stop me, please.
Oh no, it's the Star Trek thing. Whatever you do, don't pick up the J.J. Abrams reboots.
They're just bad.
No, I do agree with your earlier point that when you're releasing a new distinct part of the media, you should make an effort as a writer to reintroduce the characters at least at a base level, assuming that this will be the first time someone's picking up your show or book or game series or whatever, because that will be someone's first introduction. So I do like that. Also, I'm not entirely convinced by the you should have done your homework argument on some of these things. It differs from medium to medium. But say I want to watch the new season of Doctor Who. Do I have to watch the Doctor before that to get the context? Should I watch the Matt Smith, David Tennant, and Christopher Eccleston runs before I get it? If I wanted to watch the CBBC spin-off show, Sarah Jane Adventures, do I have to watch all of the Doctor Who series before that so I know who Sarah Jane as a character is? It gets a little squiffy when you get to that point of, hey, you probably should have read up on this before you got into it. So,
you're not a real fan. I'm like, eh. And this comes to me of as a child, I tried to read all the Sharp books in order. Now,
why?
This is the thing. Because I was a strange child. The Sharp books, for those who don't know, are a set of historical fiction written by English author Bernard Cornwell following one soldier throughout the Napoleonic Wars. And basically, every book is the same. I really enjoy the books, but every book is the same.
Fair enough.
Sharp is here. He is here to save things. Woman appears. He falls in love with woman. He is fighting bad guy. Bad guy kills woman. He gets revenge. End. And the thing is, there's an overwhelming chronology of it. But what ended up happening was Bernard Cornwell then went back and wrote prequels. So, as a person then reading them for the first time, I read the prequels before the first book. because the first book is now like the 8th book in the series.
Oh god.
So the thing is, that's actually very, like, even as, like, what is it? I must have been like 13, 14 reading it. It was really noticeable because they're like, why are they introducing this guy? Like, we know this guy. Because this is the first book. And by that point, I'd read about like 6 or 7 books before that. Just like, that's kind of strange. They're reintroducing the main character. Don't get angry at how other people enjoy stuff. As long as they don't get angry at you enjoying your stuff. Just be excellent to each other.
Party on, dudes.
He says, having ragged on Thomas for a good 40 to 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Clearly, this is the end of the podcast. Jon was too mean. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. But where can they hear more of our voices, Thomas, if they thought, no, this is not enough? What can I do?
We release this podcast every Wednesday on Spotify, iTunes, the Podbean app, and various other places that I'm sure you can get. We also upload it onto YouTube channel with a couple of other interesting videos. And we also have a Twitch channel where we try to stream twice a week, playing video games like the Danganronpa series, predominantly, because Jon is still trying to convince me they're good.
We are on the 3rd game.
3.5 at this point.
Yeah. No, by the end of V3, you will hate the games as much as the creator did.
This is a ringing endorsement.
Indeed.
So, yes, if you enjoy our content, feel free to leave a comment, show some form of general liking, upvoting, hearting, whatever the heck. And follow us on our various channels. We also have social media where you can keep track of what the heck we're up to.
It's Geeks and Gaijins podcasts or G&G Gaijins or whatever on Twitter.
Gaijins. GGIjins.
GG. Easy. Ha ha. Bye, everyone. Take care. We will see you next week.
Have a good one. Stay safe.